Hey, this is Samantha. So today I'm going to take you on a quick walkthrough of Edulastic. Now, Edulastic is an online assessment tool that I really like, especially as a high school math teacher, because, well, really I like it because my kids hate taking tests online. And unfortunately, they have absolutely no choice but to take their state testing online. So when it comes to math tests, they get through the whole year of taking pencil and paper math tests, then they get to the end of the year test and they have absolutely no choice and they all panic. So I have started doing or creating my own exams here in Edulastic. So if you look at this, if you go to edulastic.com, this is the homepage and log in. Now, because I'm using this for educational purposes, I log in using my school Google account. It works really nice because I have all my passwords and everything saved, and I can quickly link it to my Google Classroom, which nowadays most teachers are using anyways, so it's very helpful. Now, when you log in, what you're going to see here is your dashboard. Now, you can see my 4 geometry classes that I have. I do teach other subjects, but I mainly use this for geometry because they do have to take the Aspire test at the end of the year. Now, I'm not actually going to click into any of these classes because these are my actual students I have at the moment and, FERPA and all that stuff, but I am going to take you through kind of how this works. So if you go to assignments, you can see right here, this is my first period and all of the stuff that I have assigned to them so far this year. You also have the assessment library, which this is where you will actually create your assessments. And you can see some of these things that I've created. I have my chapter 3 questions and my chapter 2 questions, and then specific tests like a chapter 1 retake. And you can actually filter this and see other assessments that other people have created. So right now, this is just my private library, but you can actually see what other people have created and made public to use. Then you've got reports, and it will show you the general reports for all the stuff that your students have done. Now, this is not actually accurate for mine at the moment because I don't have it set up correctly, but that is there to be used. And then you have manage classes. Now, this is where you can create your classes. Okay, so this is where I have my class and I've synced them with Google Classroom so that in each of these class periods, they are synced with the students that are in that specific class period in my Google Classroom as well. Now, what I want you guys to see is assessments here. Now, like I said, you can go through and search other people's assessments, but since I'm teaching my class and my own material and the way I teach, I want to create my assessments to reflect that. So if you click Create Assessment, you can then name your assessment. Now, I will probably be deleting this later, so I'm going to call it Demo Assessment and Create Assessment. Now, here is where all the different questions are that are already created. So I could just check these and say, okay, graph the circle with the following equation. I could check that. And you'll notice up here next review, there's a little 1. That's because there's now 1 question on my assessment. And if I click the review, it will show me demo assessment with my 1 question on it. And I can publish it once I get all my questions there. Now, what I actually want to do is add a question because I like to create my own tests. So I hit add question and I want to author my own question. So you'll see up here in the right hand corner, author new question. And then you get all of these different options: multiple choice, multiple selection, text dropdown, essay, text entry, true or false. Now these are the main question types you can use. These will work for any content area teacher. But as a math teacher, I really like this website because of this tab here, the Math Tech Enhanced. Now here, I can have numeric questions, expression evaluator questions, fraction editors, classification, even graphing. And this goes on forever. I can have tables and pictures and drag and drops and multi-part. I can actually create a question with multiple different types of these in here. And then number line, graph, label, and image. Now, some of these you kind of have to play with to figure out, but I want to show you the general idea of this. So I'm going to go back to classic question and then click multiple choice, and it will give you the template. So here you put in your question. So what is 2 plus 2? Okay, obviously, basic question, not something we would normally ask in a high school geometry class, but you get the point. You put in a question. Then you put in your answers. So I'm going to say 5 and 90 and then 4 and then 21. You know what? Negative 21. Then you choose the correct answer. So I'm going to hit C. So that saves it. Then what I do is I scroll down here and I can edit how many points I want this question to be worth. So if it's a more difficult question, I might want it to be more than 1 point. Since it's 2 plus 2 and any 10th grade student should really know that, I'm going to leave it at 1 point. You also can select the difficulty level. So this is obviously easy. Then depth of knowledge, recall, skill concepts, strategic thinking, or extended thinking. So honestly, this really should be a recall question, but I'm going to go as far as to say it is a skill concept, knowing what is the concept of addition. I also like to check allow students to use Scratchpad. Now this is kind of like an online editor that they can use. I also give them paper and pencil because they're allowed that on the state test anyways, but they can use this if they want. Then you can add a tag. So I'm going to put addition. This is my new tag. Then enter solution text. I don't need to do that because it's just going to check it for me. Did they select C or not? Then once you have all this in, you go back up here and you hit save. Once you hit save, you find the standard that it goes with. Well, 2 plus 2 is not really a 10th grade standard. It's probably more like, I don't know, first grade standard. So I'd go to my first grade standards. I would find whatever one it is, use addition and subtraction within 20, check it, done, and it saves my question. Now I go back to review. And you'll see it has my one question that I had already selected from the bank, and then my new question that I created on my own. Then I would hit publish. It would then publish my assessment. Okay, now here is my assessment published. It gives me a URL. I actually copy this URL into my Google Classroom when I assign their tests, and then the kids can just click, click on that URL, and it takes them directly to the test that I assign them to. So I could hit assign, and when I hit assign, it will pull up all of my classes, and then I can select what classes I want to assign it to. And if I don't want to assign it to the whole class, I can actually go over here and select specific students within that class. So right now it says no students selected. I also turn off the release scores because if you leave it on, then they can see their scores immediately, and I like to go in and check them and make sure everything worked out correctly before I release their scores. Okay, so once I had all that figured out, I would click assign. I usually set the start date and due date for the beginning and the end of class, so if they try to click on it outside of class, it won't open. Once you have all that set, you hit assign, and then you're good to go. Now, if you want to see what they do, you go into assignments, and your test will show up here, okay? Now, again, I don't want to show you my actual classes, so I'm going to go over here to manage class and go to my archive classes. When I first started this, I had a demo class. Now, this is what it will look like. So this is in grading. These kids have already taken this test. Now, this one says that they're all absent. Let's go back to a different one. This one. Okay, all these kids have already taken this test. It graded it automatically for me. Now, I can go in and click on this and view their responses. And I can see each individual question, how many they got right, how many were partially correct, how many were incorrect. And I like to always go in and look at the incorrect ones because sometimes they type something, they miss a space or they just don't do it exactly like the computer wanted it. Now this one's multiple choice, but especially on the fill in the blank, I like to check, or essay ones. And I can go up here and be like, you know what? I'm actually going to give them credit for that and delete that 0, put a 1, hit save, and it updates their scores. So I can always check to make sure it actually did it correctly. Okay, so that was my quick overview of Edulastic. I hope that was helpful. There are tons of different YouTube videos and other things on how to use this. So thank you and have a great day.